today joining me on GHC Coffee Break will be Don Green, our president of Georgia Highlands College. Get your coffee and we'll be right back.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome to GHC Coffee Break. I'm very excited today to have Don Green, our president of Georgia Highlands College, join me today.
I'm excited to be here too, Susan. It's good to see you again.
Well, it's always good to see you. I love it when you can just kind of walk down the hall and see the president walking down the hall too. It's we get to see each other through the halls more often than not.
Yeah.
It's nice to actually have you on the show and get a chance to talk a little bit about Georgia Highlands College.
Good. Happy to be here. Things are going well. I can't complain a bit.
So how long has it been now?
18 months.
18 months. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Lots happened in 18 months.
A lot has. Enrollment's up. Performance from students is just terrific. Graduation rates are up. Successful basketball teams. Lots of things we can talk about.
Well, we're going to start off with athletics.
Okay.
Because April is kind of a health, and that to me, athletes are typically healthy.
Sure.
So, and we are really excited about how the basketball teams are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Both men and women have won conference. So both of them won the GCAA conferences. And then both of them went to regionals. Both won their regionals. So both of them are going to the national tournament. The women will be in Lubbock, Texas a week from now. And the men will be in Hutchinson, Kansas.
Wow.
So yeah, it's good stuff.
It really is. And I don't get to come to a lot of the games. I live in Bremen, so it's a little bit of a trek to come back and forth sometimes. And then my grandson was wrestling on the Saturdays that they were here.
Sure.
So sorry, my grandson's come just a little first.
Priorities.
Just a little bit. But when I have gotten to go, and we took, my daughter actually came, she's really gotten into basketball now. In fact, she and my husband are going to do that walk in Atlanta where they actually get tickets to the Hawks game.
Oh, terrific.
So that's really exciting.
That's great.
And, that's another thing, walking. She's really gotten involved in 5Ks and stuff, so health again. But tell us a little bit more about other athletes and our I don't even know if I remember all of the sports we have now.
Sure. Well, we've got baseball and softball as well. Baseball's been doing well. Softball's been doing extremely well. In fact, one of our softball players, Bree, is currently leading the nation, or at least till recently was leading the nation in home runs. So, I'm very pleased for the performance on the field and on the court. But I'm really I'm even more pleased with the academic performance that we're seeing from our student athletes. And that is always a challenge when you have to balance the time that you spend with your team and the time you spend in your class and in your studies. But we seem to be making that a very high priority at the institution, and the students are really coming through, so I'm very proud of them for that. You were talking about April being a fitness month too. And I'm really excited. I was just recently asked if I would send a letter challenging the other presidents of the University System of Georgia to a competition amongst all the colleges across Georgia.
I love competition.
Yeah, I do too. So we're going to compete, and it's going to be a walking competition, but you can really do any kind of exercise. And then what you do is track it on a website. We did something like this last year. We did, yeah, and we won. Yeah, Dalton was second place, and we were first place. And so they asked me if I would be willing to challenge all the other college presidents to compete once again. And so we've kind of upped it a little bit. We've got a little better technology for tracking, and it's good. It's fun, but it's especially good for all of our employees, our faculty and staff, because it gives them one more reason to be healthy.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I've been really impressed too, is the challenges to get out and become more healthy. And walking isn't easy and expensive once you get your shoes.
Yeah.
Because you can walk anywhere.
Yes.
And that's what I did when I did the challenge, because I have neuropathy. Walking can be very difficult at times. And so I would break mine up. Sometimes it was only 15 minutes here and then 15 minutes later, but I'd get my 30 minutes or whatever. And I was actually very proud of myself. I went 10 laps around the football field, so I think that's like 2 miles roughly.
Good for you. Yeah.
So this weekend, and so I was really proud of myself for doing that.
That's great. Well, and the most recent research says that even 10-minute walks, if you can do 3 of those throughout a day, you will see a health benefit from it. Okay. 10 minutes seems to kind of be the magical number where it starts to have a very positive health effect.
Well, that's I didn't realize the 10 minutes, so that's really good to know. You know, getting back to the athletes too, I'm going to put my professor hat, because I am going to brag just a little bit. I've had a few of the athletes in my classes. A couple of them are in my online classes, and I have to really say that they, so far, the ones I've had at least, have really tried to step up, and the coaches, whether it's the softball coach or I mostly had softball players and a couple of basketball players. And anytime that there's any problems, or if we need to arrange something, both coaches and faculty, I think, have really worked well together. And I'm very encouraged how our coaching staff seems to be, like you said, emphasizing academics as much as the athleticism. Absolutely,
and I appreciate the fact that our faculty are quite flexible when it comes to travel schedules. That, you know, a student athlete should be expected to do everything that every other student does, but when they have to travel with a team, it does make it a little more difficult. You can't be in class, and our faculty are so flexible with those students in those particular situations, and I really appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate the emphasis again, like I said, because, you know, there's updates and check-ins, and I've worked with the coaches a couple of times on the online classes. If testing was not, if they were traveling during a test or something like that, that the coaches are, Laurie or someone is able to proctor. So that's really been, they've been willing to work with us just as much as we've been willing to work with them, I think.
Oh, yeah, I agree. A lot of people don't know this, but the average GPA of an NCAA athlete is actually higher than the average GPA of an average student.
Wow.
And one of the reasons, in fact, some of the research says this, is that the regimen of having to be at practice and knowing you're going to have to be at practice kind of forces you to organize your day better and to study better.
I think you hit one of the nails on the head right there. I tell students, online classes to me are not any more difficult or easier. I mean, at least when I try to make my classes comparable to if I was face-to-face. The biggest difference, though, is time management.
Yes.
And I'm a stickler on deadlines. Because it is online, I have found if there's the structure, and I think that's kind of where you clicked in my mind with the time management, is there's due dates for discussions, there's due dates for papers, there's due dates for assignments and quizzes, but there's some flexibility within that week.
Right.
But by the end of that week, those expectations are you're to have the work done. So the flexibility, but at the same time, some rigid deadlines. I think that kind of forces either you can do it or you can't.
Right.
And don't do that.
Well, and one of the greatest skills that we provide students at Georgia Highlands is the ability to manage your time. We have so many great faculty who coach students on how to think through your schedule, your work schedule, your school schedule, and be able to organize your day. And that's really a talent that will serve them for a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. And it makes a difference.
Oh, yeah.
Well, do you see any other teams or any other athletes that might be coming in the future?
Well, not at the moment. The state of Georgia right now is holding us pretty tightly on expansion of athletic programs across the state. And it really comes down to just trying to make sure that they're protecting the funding and the finances for higher education. And that is a laudable goal.
Yeah.
That they are responsible for those things. And so if the state holds us to that, we will behave accordingly.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things, and I think I've even shared this, and of course I have a little bit of a bias here. Would love to see a wrestling team come up.
We hear about wrestling, we hear about tennis, we hear about cross country.
I think it's cross country.
Those tend to be big ones. That we hear a lot.
Volleyball.
I hear about volleyball. That's right. That would probably be the fourth. And because of the gyms in Cartersville, you actually hear about volleyball as a possible Cartersville sport. But right now,
nothing.
No, we've just got to. Yeah, I understand, but you know, you have to behave in a particular way based on the powers that be.
Oh, absolutely, and I wouldn't even suggest that we didn't. But you know, I'm hoping down the road some things will come up.
Yeah,
because I think. And that's the thing to me also, and getting back to the academics and athleticism, one of the things that I have found in recent years is colleges, when they look at the athletes, they don't just look at their skills. They also look at their academics.
Oh,
they
no
look
doubt
at
about it.
their community service. It's the whole picture as opposed to coming in and, hey, I can hit that baseball, you know, home runs 5 times out of 5. It's really looking at the whole person, the socialization, the community involvement, the athletics, and the academics.
Yeah, well, we have really smart coaches at Georgia Highlands, and I think any smart coach looks at the academic performance of a potential recruit, because you don't want to recruit students who will be ineligible. You don't want to recruit students who might have behavioral issues, for example. You want students that are going to be successful. And in addition, then our coaches work with our students to try to enhance their performance as a person, not just as an athlete. So a lot of people don't realize that there are lots of volunteer hours that our athletes put in within the community. And that really helps them to better understand how to give back to their community. And again, it's one of those talents that they'll have for a lifetime.
Absolutely. I think that, to me, that is one of the things that has impressed me about our program here at Georgia Highlands, that we really do seem to have that attitude. And I see it more and more at the other institutions as well. So that's a good thing. Yeah. I'm an academic. I'm not very athletic, but
well, hey, that being the case, you want to talk about academic competition?
Yes.
Well, I'm really excited. I just learned that this weekend, I learned that Phi Theta Kappa, our honor society, has been competing across the state and absolutely crushing it.
Oh, wow.
So we have now garnered not just statewide awards, but also national awards. And one of our students will be heading to both Washington, D.C. and to Chicago to pick up some awards. And there may be a second and a third coming in the very, very near future. Recently, the Coca-Cola Scholars Foundation recognized Georgia Highlands and the rest of the two-year schools across the state of Georgia for exceptional academic performance. And we had the largest number of honorees in the state.
And I was actually sharing that with my family members, and they were very impressed.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So, you know, it's nice to compete on a field or on a court, but it's even better to compete in the classroom.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things, 6 Mile Post came back with a lot of awards, especially considering that now we moved up into the area of competition too.
Yeah.
And we're still producing.
You know, Dr. Christy Kemper just deserves a lot of love, because she puts so much effort into the development of our 6 Mile Post writers and editors, and they're crushing it. We were the top both online and print newspapers in the state of Georgia, and of course, again, we'll be competing across the United States. I believe that Berry College ended up being second in Georgia with their performance as well. So some really good work from Northwest Georgia.
Exactly. And we're going to have to take a break in a minute, but I'll share a little bit about the 6 Mile Post and of a personal experience. But get your coffee and we'll be right back with GHC Coffee Break.
I'm transferring to the University of West Georgia.
Columbia University.
Kennesaw State.
UGA. Loyola University in Chicago.
Grambling State.
Shorter University. I'm going to Greensboro College, and we all got our start at Georgia Highlands.
No matter where your educational journey takes you, you can get your start at Georgia Highlands College. Georgia Highlands College. Enroll, engage, excel.
Welcome back to GHC Coffee Break. I've really had a great time chatting with you to this morning or whatever, whenever the viewers are watching.
Whenever they're watching.
That's right. But I've really enjoyed having our chat. I was going to share a little bit about the 6 Mile Post. When I was a student here, I was here in 83 to 86, and it was the jumping off place for me to go to Georgia State and get my bachelor's and my master's, and later I went to Clayton College of Natural Health for my ND. But my foundation was here at Georgia Highlands.
Yeah.
And while I was here, I was on the 6 Mile Post staff. Excuse me. And I was I was an advice columnist. They didn't know who the person was.
So you were the Dear Abby of
I
your
was the
time?
Dear Abby.
Oh my goodness, or Ann Landers. That dates us because probably people don't even know who Ann Landers is anymore.
You're probably right. But I loved it. I had so much fun, and I learned so much. And Dr. Kemper, again, was our mentor back then. Sure. And they just... and I remember going on some of the trips and just being proud to be part of something so wonderful. Yeah. And then, of course, we had the old red kimono. Yep. I have actually submitted things in the past and published with them, which has been really cool to me.
It is. It's terrific. You know what? One thing I really like, Susan, is I will have a student show up at the beginning of a school year who has decided they want to be a reporter on the 6 Mile Post. And their first assignment is to interview the president about something or other. And they're so nervous. And frankly, they're intimidated because they're going to have to go ask the president these questions. And then by the end of the year, they're coming up and they're saying, "Hey Don, how's it going today?" Casually having these conversations, feeling very, very comfortable. And it's just great to watch them grow. There's a young man, his name's Eric, and he's the president of a brother-to-brother chapter at Georgia Highlands. And I love to tease him a little bit because last year, when he first met me, he was tongue-tied and kind of embarrassed about the whole idea of meeting the president. This year, he feels so comfortable working collaborative with me. And obviously now that he's the president of Brother to Brother, we actually do a number of different projects together. But to see that growth, that as he moves on and he gets into other positions and situations in his life, he's just going to feel very comfortable working in a variety of environments. And so it's really fun to watch these students grow like that.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll give you, because I know you won't, give you kudos because you are easy to talk to. I mean, I can remember the first day I met you. I don't know if you remember the first day you met me, but I remember the first day I met you. It was walking down the hallway towards the lunchroom, and we were introduced, and I started chuckling, and I said, the students call me Dr. C. And you said, "Oh, okay, Dr. C." And I said, "Look, I don't have anything of title issue, but as a female sometimes, and being a professor, I wanted to have a casual but yet still professional with my students. And one of my students came up with Dr. C. But you were just, you were just chatting and made everybody around you feel very comfortable from the get-go. And I think, that helps too. So you help students, and I think most of our faculty too, help students gain that confidence. Dr. Jim Cook, when I was here, my very first semester, or his quarters back then, and it was a summer class. It was his history class. And I made a C. It was my very first college class. And I said, oh, I'm not college material. And I don't know to this day how because I'm not the same person I was 20 years ago. But I went to him and I said, Dr. Cook, I said, I've really studied and maybe I'm not college material and maybe this should just be a pipe dream. And he said, no. He said, to make a C in my class in the summer and it's, because it's the same amount of material in 4 weeks. He said, that's great. He said, don't you give up.
Yeah.
But all he would have had to say is, yeah, you should have done better in this class or anything that would have, and I would have been crushed and gone.
Sure.
But here, this professor, he's retired now, and I love him dearly. But he encouraged me. And so to me, when I look at Georgia Highlands, it is very personal for me. It truly is. I wouldn't be where I am had it not been for the foundation of Georgia Highlands
Absolutely.
College.
Well, and I'll tell you, Susan, Jim's a great example of the exceptional faculty that we have at Georgia Highlands. People don't always realize it, but Jim Cook has written biographies on many, if not all, of the governors of Georgia.
Yep.
And he's a world-class historian.
Oh, absolutely.
But there are many who have now not had the opportunity to experience him in the classroom, and so people may not be aware, but we have amazing faculty like that all over the place. And to your point, part of my job is to build a particular culture and climate at Georgia Highlands, but I didn't really need to do that. That culture of support, development, growth was already there. So I was fortunate to be the benefactor of that culture within our faculty and staff already, but to see them embrace the student, to try to understand the student's dreams and plans and desires for their life, and then to help them to grow, it's a terrific opportunity. It's a great way to be able to spend your work life.
Oh, absolutely. And I really am excited about some of the things, like this challenge you're talking about coming up. I am going to participate. I may not be the marathon winner, but I'm gonna run my own marathon.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's all about individual performance, setting some health goals. In fact, I would challenge all your viewers that they start to set a health goal. Maybe they say, okay, for the month of March or the month of April or whatever month they choose, they say, okay, for these 30 days, I'm going to make sure that I exercise 3 times a week, or I'm going to make sure that I do cardio twice a week, or whatever the case might be, and then really hold themselves to it. And the best way to do that is get yourself some kind of calendar. Sometimes there's actually a positive physiological response by simply having a pencil and paper calendar and writing it in. Track your weight. Don't get obsessive about it, but track your weight and work on that, because we know that by writing your weight every couple of days as you weigh yourself, it also tends to change your behaviors in your eating patterns. So it's just about making all those physiological and psychological changes that ultimately add up to a healthier body.
Well, and you talk about the physiological, the psychological. I also, as a sociologist, I'm looking at the sociological, because you are, like you said, you're building a culture.
Yeah.
So the sociological aspect to me, and the community, the functional aspect of being healthy, not only, and I do believe in the whole body, mind, and spirit. I'm very much a holistic in my practice as a person, but as a professor, because I teach human services, and I want my students to understand mental health also deals with physical health.
Oh, yeah.
And psychological health. And
no doubt about it.
The physiology.
Well, the sociology part, the sociological relationships. My wife loves exercise classes at the Y.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is about attending those classes with her friends.
Support.
So it's getting the exercise, but it's also just having the opportunity to chat with some good friends, and to feel like you're doing something really valuable for yourself. It just makes for that full mind-body combination that you're talking about.
And from what I've heard rumors, and I'm not trying to create new rumors, but so I'll ask the question. I understand that you're very open and willing and have been very helpful to faculty and staff that ask you questions about that like you're kind of a coach.
Oh yeah, well, one of our staff thus far has lost 50 pounds, and he's been working out. He's followed a workout regimen. That wasn't me. It's just he and I tend to be kind of workout buddies, and we can compare notes periodically. So it's been really good for him. But there are a number of faculty and staff who've decided to create their own workout plans, or they've asked for a little bit of assistance from me. Far better to get it from some of our PE and bio faculty who are really well trained to be able to do that. But we are doing it, and we're seeing results, and it's a great thing.
Well, to me, that really impresses me, because I think that if we have a leader that lead by example, I guess, kind of idea, and I hope that that's what I do with and do with my students. But the physical part is definitely a challenge, and I realize that. And so to have the culture that, I mean, my understanding is you've really encouraged everyone to get out and take a break, go walk. You know, we've got a beautiful lake. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
In fact, that's what I'm planning on doing this afternoon, is to walk around the lake. The only thing that scares me, I'm thinking, if I get halfway and I'm in trouble, you can't jump across the lake. I'm going to take my phone with me.
Good idea. Always a good idea. I am so pleased at the number of folks from the community who choose to come out on weekends and walk the lake.
Yeah.
And I would just invite anyone from our community that wants to use our lake, do so. We see folks fishing it. We see folks walking it. Please do, you know. People should feel comfortable using our lake and just getting out and being able to stretch their legs and enjoy nature.
I love prose, and when you said fishing, it reminded me, one of my articles in 6 Mile Post, and I don't know, I need to go and see if the sign's still there. So there's a fish that was kind of a legend fish, and I think there's a sign still that one of my articles I wrote about walking down and feeling the crunch of the pine straw beneath my feet as I walked towards the lake.
Yeah.
But I wanted to draw this real visual picture of the experience, because it is amazing to me. And the wetlands, I actually have not explored that, but that's on my agenda to do this spring.
Well, and I hear these stories about a 12-point that lives back there in the wetlands too, and I'd love to get a look at that buck. It's got to be a pretty big one.
Yeah, see, I would love to go on a safari, but with a camera. I don't want to shoot them.
Right.
Not that I have a problem with hunting, because it does provide food, and I love venison. But you know, I just love the idea of the pictures. And one of the things, Jeff Brown always inspires me about pictures, because he's a fantastic photographer and has a great eye. In nature, to me, if you can even begin to capture it on films.
Always good to compliment Jeff Brown when he's your show producer as well.
Never
hurts to do that
Never
either,
hurts
right?
to do that, right? But I guess that's what I'm saying. When I look around this college, there are so many talented people that come together in such a close community. So, you know, that's really important.
Okay.
So I guess, unfortunately, we're about done. So I really appreciate your time and coming out to speak with me on GHC Coffee Break. Get your coffee. We'll be right back.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Thank you for joining me on GHC Coffee Break. Thank you, Don. And until next time, we'll see you.